In this video, we're going to take a look at a shimmering brown ink by Diamine Cocoa Shimmer. Now, as always, there's timestamps down below so you can skip around, but if you've got the time, I'd appreciate you checking out the entire video. Also, down in the description, you're going to find a link to the brown ink playlist, so if you want to see more brown inks, you'll be able to see that there. I'm an ink guy, and let's get into the first writing sample done on 90 GSM Clairefontaine. No bleeding, no ghosting. As has been that case, we do have quite a bit of shimmer coming through. Now, talking about it in general, as I've gone to doing with these shimmer inks. Generally speaking, we have no feather spread, halo sheen. We do get moments of shading that go on in the extra fine, like the K in quick. The word seconds looks darker than what's around it. The is darker, over goes light to dark, so it can be very nice. 6 seconds to dry. Mediums, 10 seconds to dry. The scrubby don't show color variation in either of them, but again, when we're not just seeing the shimmer, it's there in the extra fine. Now, the smear test says you could recover it if you smeared while you were writing. To have a range of experience with this ink, all of the writing samples are done with a Jinhao 159 with a 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a medium, and a Jinhao X750 with an extra fine. Then, a Fountain Pen Revolution Himalaya with their flex nib was inked up, used for a day, and used to take the notes for this video. The next writing sample is done on 52 GSM Tomoe River. We have no bleeding, some minor ghosting. Our general look at it has no feather spread, halo sheen, no real shading. The extra fine took 10 seconds to dry. The medium took 14, which to me in this paper is a fantastic thing. The scrubby for both aren't showing any color variation. We really don't see it in the writing. Again, I just have to hold it in angle because of the shimmer. You don't get to see it. The smear test, you could not recover if you smeared while you were writing. I agree with Vita. There's a lot to learn by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. A line of ink is put down, and then it's put in the water for 10 to 15 seconds. You can see the gold line where the ink was put down and a very gray tone that's pushing its way up. We also see a little bit of an orange come in, a little bit of brown, and then quite a bit of red at the top. And that's because as an ink, it is a little bit of a red-leaning brown. Now, they say a little bit. Now, looking at the chromatography, making me think it should be a lot of it. The one on the right is let dry for 10 minutes before it's put in the water. That gold line is there. A lot of that brownish tone, that grayish tone, stayed down in that line, really bonded with the filter paper immediately. Some of it pushed up. We don't see nearly as much of the orange that's there, a little bit higher, but the red is very much moving away from the water. I might expect a little bit of resistance with this ink. The next writing sample is done on 80 GSM Rhodia dot pad. No bleeding, no ghosting. Our general look at it has no feathering spread, halo sheen, no shade. It actually performs very well here. The extra fine took 7 seconds to dry. The medium took 11 seconds to dry. Our scrubby showing us no color variation. We're really not getting that kind of shading in the writing. And the smear test says you could recover it if you smeared while you were writing. Resistance tests are done to see how this ink can be expected to perform on the page, and more importantly, how hard it may be to clean from your pen. The smear is allowed to dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, that's kind of gross and risky to use this ink and then go back with a highlighter in your note-taking. I wouldn't do it. Now, water is reactivating quite a bit of this and getting a lot of it off the paper. We're seeing just the edges of white coming through. Pen Flush does everything that water does, nothing more, and the 1/3 bleach solution completely obliterates it. Now, looking at this, you can see how in control some of this glitter is. There's just so much of it. That's what makes it a little harder to see on camera. Oh, and it only took water to get it out of the pen, so that's good. The next writing sample is done on original Crown Mill paper. We have no bleeding, no ghosting. Now, because this is a much more absorbent paper, we can actually get away with laying it down flat and being able to talk about the ink. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is a little lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen. It has spots of shading. Like the starts lighter, gets darker. Quick goes dark to light to dark. Brown goes dark to light. The is very dark, 6 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the extra fine with no feather spread, halo sheen. It does shade some. Brown starts darker, gets a little lighter. Lazy starts darker, gets a little lighter. 9 seconds to dry. Now the scrubby for both don't really show color variation, but we are getting it. And the smear test, you might be able to recover it if you smeared while you were writing. For the inks tested, the average viscosity was 2.5, and the realm of normal was 2.1 to 2.9. Diamine's Cocoa Shimmer has a viscosity of 1.55, making this a pretty wet ink to move all of that shimmer. If you're interested in how the viscosity and all that stuff's done, there's a link to that video, down there. The next writing sample, though, is done on White Lines paper. It's also an absorbent paper. No bleeding, no ghosting. Again, being a bit more absorbent than the other papers means I can actually show it to you this way. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen. It does have some spots of shading. Quick goes from dark to much darker at the K. Brown goes from much darker on the BR to a little bit lighter through. Over starts lighter and gets darker, 4 seconds to dry. Medium is dark like the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, 7 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show no color variation, though the extra fine does show it. Now, we're not seeing the shimmer nearly as much here, but if I move it around some, you would be able to see it, even with this being a more absorbent paper. The smear test says you could recover if you smeared while you were writing. For the inks tested, the average dry time was 17 seconds, and the realm of normal was 13 to 21 seconds. Diamine's Cocoa Shimmer has an average dry time of 10 seconds, making this dry a bit faster than normal. The last writing sample is done on Franklin Christoph paper, another paper used because it's just a little bit more absorbent. No bleeding, no ghosting. Again, being more absorbent, I can actually put it down, and when it moves around, you can see a little bit of the shimmer. Just trying to not deal with the obnoxiousness on camera here. The 1.1 stub has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen. It does shade. Quick goes lighter to darker. Brown goes darker to lighter. The is very dark. Lazy goes dark to light, 5 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, but it still has shading. Quick goes dark to light to dark. Brown goes dark to light. Fox goes light to dark. Lazy dark to light, 8 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both doesn't show a ton of color variation, but it looks much better in the writing, and the smear test you could recover if you smeared while you were writing. Instead of finding inks that look like Diamine's Cocoa Shimmer, I'd prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. I decided to go with a purple ink by J. Herbin, Coco do Brazil. And that's because I like mixing cocoa with cocoa and making a very chocolatey drink. If you'd prefer a different complement color, then down in the description are links to those different color playlists. So what do I think of Diamine's Cocoa Shimmer? Without shimmer, this is a very red-leaning ink. The shimmer dominates the color in every way, which for me actually makes this one better. Here is a shimmer ink that the shimmer being a lot isn't bad. It makes this ink better. So well done, because I don't normally like this much shimmer in my inks. So what nib and pen will give the best writing experience with this ink? It's a no-brainer. Broad and wet. If you need anything other than a broad, you really want a very wet gusher of a pen, and I think it can do it. I hope you got something out of this video, and in the next video, we're going to take a look at KWZ's Pine Green.